Hello guys, this is IDQ, and in this video I want to talk about communication, which is a really important part about the game. It's probably the one of the most important parts, to be honest, that is non mechanical, you know, not about less hitting and stuff like that, map movements.
If you like this type of content, go to gamersclass.com. For just $9.99 a month, watch masterclasses with pro players, join exclusive live sessions, and get 24/7 access to coaches and other high MMR players. Get full control of your ranked games and start owning with our Supreme Dota 2 membership.
So the first thing about it is that we need to read the situation and understand what is happening in the game and with our teammates especially, to be able to communicate properly. And yeah, so first of all, if you have like people muted and stuff like that, when the game starts, I believe we need to just unmute everyone if you have been muted, or just try to say hello or something like that, right? To sort of read the situation, read the room, see what your teammates, how they're feeling, you know, if they say hi back or whatever. It's really important to know if they're in a good mood. You know, maybe they lost the last game, maybe they had their AFK, or maybe, you know, something happened in real life. So you have to sort of read the situation to see what's happening. If you know, your teammates are in a good mood and stuff like that, they seem to be responsive and communicating back, I believe that you can like then you have like a reason to sort of communicate in game. Because else, if they're like fighting each other in, you know, Russian, whatever language, it's not really worth to even try to communicate with them, since they're already in a bad mood, right? So it's not really worth just typing for them to, you know, not even respond to you, or, you know, ignore you. So instead of doing that, you should just focus on your own game. When that happens, you know, they're not really responsive to anything, not even a hello. So that would be the first thing. The second part of communication that I want to talk about, it's actually not related to communication in general, but to the gameplay, which, yeah, it's really helpful if you own in the game, right? If you're 10-0 and saying, you know, we should do this or whatever, go rush, push this tower or something like that, your teammates are more likely to answer you, right? To do what you're saying, if you're obviously owning the game, since, you know, they have a belief in you, sort of, because, okay, this guy's owning, he knows what he's doing, or she, whatever. So it's obvious that they would just choose to listen to you if you're obviously doing better than they in a game, or, you know, at least you're just doing better than the enemies, for example, not really better than your teammates at least. So it's really important to sort of do good in your own game before trying to communicate and just tell your team what to do, or, you know, make suggestions of plays or item builds, anything like that. Because the opponent, I mean, because your teammates won't really listen to you if you're like 0-3 as a safe lane carrier just hitting jungle creeps, right? But if you're, for example, playing mid lane, ganking every lane, and then your teammates have a reason to listen to you, because you're already doing great stuff in game, right? You're already owning and stuff like that. So I think it's really important to sort of own in your game, right? To have a great gameplay of your own before trying to communicate with your teammates and stuff like that. But it all depends on the roles, right? Another thing that I believe it's important to know is when to communicate. For example, I believe that the supports and the support should only talk to like their own lane, and same as the cores, for example the off lane, right, and the safe lane should only talk to them, or, you know, maybe tell the mid lane to gank, but when they can gank, right? So later in the game when they have level 6 or something like that, there's no point in telling your mid laner, for example, in your safe lane, support or carry or whatever, off lane, position 4 or stuff like that, oh, I need a gank, when it's minute 2 in the game, right? So I really think it's important to understand when to communicate, which I believe, as I said before, in the laning stage, I believe the support should only communicate with their respective core most of the time, right? And same as the core, you know, when they need a pull, okay, go pull, go stop a pull, stuff like that. And maybe, you know, try to pay attention to the middle lane if he says, oh, I need a rune secure, right? Or, you know, leave me the bounty, something like that. But I believe that that's the extent of the early game communication that should be going on in the team. There's no point in talking like, oh, we need to do this, you know, we need to take Roche because that's whatever, because we have a rules or something like that, right? Since it doesn't really matter, that's not important at the moment when you're saying it. I believe after that, after the sort of early game when laning stage is over, or whenever your mid laner is ganking, I believe that the mid laner should communicate what to do, sort of to orchestrate the team early game, because he's the strongest hero in the game, right? Usually they get online faster. For example, Storm Spirit, level 6 gets ulti, can gank. Same as Queen of Pain or any other mid heroes usually. They can just do a lot more stuff than other teammates, so you should try to listen to your mid laner most from minute like 10 to 15, something like that, 7 minutes, whenever it's level 6, right? If he wants to gank or something, I think you should just listen to them. Whatever they're saying, you should be done, in my opinion. Because, yeah, they sort of create a tempo, right, early game. Because they are the strongest hero, so if they gank, you know, you should either listen to them or try to pay attention to what they're doing, try to help them in their quest, I guess. Unless they're jungling, right? Because if they go jungle, you know, exactly as I said before, you shouldn't really communicate if you're not doing anything with the communication. If you're just jungling, there's no point in talking. Afterwards, mid game, I feel like who should be talking is either the tower pusher. For example, if you have like a Terrorblade position 1 that can like hit towers, I feel like the guy that can take objectives should be the guy that's making plays, right, and say what should be done. Because if you have like a anti-mage just hitting creeps, right, he shouldn't really say that much because he's just hitting creeps. But you have a Terrorblade or Ursa that can take Rosh, or Troll that can take towers, buildings, anything like that, I feel like they should be talking. The guy that can take an objective or do something on the map should be the one talking. And everyone should just like sort of listen to him and his gameplay whenever it's his turn to talk. Which means that whenever they're strong, you know, when they feel like they can do something, that's when they should be listened to, you know. For example, if Storm gets an Orchid or whatever, say it's a go gank because it's sort of the early game to, you know, mid game or something like that, you should be listening to the guy that's sort of the strongest in your team and tries to make the plays. Other thing that's pretty important is the initiator should make the plays, right? Obviously not just the guy that can take the objectives. The initiator that can set up a kill is the guy that should be talking. I feel like they should also be talking, because it's really important to, you know, try to communicate with your team to try to set up plays. Another thing that I feel is pretty important that it should be sort of announced is the counter initiator. If you have a counter initiator, that player should be saying who they're sitting behind of, right? Because, for example, you have a Winter Wild position 5. He should be saying, okay, I'm sitting behind you, I can ult someone, I can heal you, right? I can save you, of Oracle or Abaddon or something like that. Anything of that sort, I think it should be said. I mean, they should be saying, yo, I can sit behind, I can save you, right? I feel like it's pretty important for them to let their cores know what they're doing or what their plan is. Yeah, I'm sitting behind you, I can save you, you can farm more aggressively, right? I also feel like it's pretty important to say as a support whenever you're wording, right? What your plan for wording is. So you sort of let your cores know where they can play safely, right? For example, one thing that I do is ping the word. Just ping the word, everyone can know what they're doing, and then say something like, okay, I'm going here, right? Just, it's really important to try and do that, right? Since, for example, if you want your cores to play more aggressive, you can just tell them, okay, I will place a word something more aggressive, so they can know to move towards there before before the word is even placed, right? They can be there when you're placing the word, so they don't waste any time playing where you feel like they should be playing. So yeah, I think that's another important thing. Later in the game, I feel like it doesn't really matter who communicates, because everyone's like super important, because everyone has a lot more items and stuff like that. But I feel like if you sort of listen to what I'm saying right now, you can have a like general idea of what is supposed to be happening in game, who should be talking in what time of the game. Another pretty important thing is to know what to communicate, right? Because I see a lot of players just talking nonsense or flaming each other. I feel like that sort of behavior should be stopped. All that matters in the game is trying to win, and that's all. It doesn't really matter if you're middle lane 0-3 or whatever. Just think about how to win. It doesn't matter what happens in the game besides just winning or losing. That's all there is to it. It doesn't really matter how you win and stuff like that. It just matter the result, sort of. I mean, obviously the performance matters, right? Performance over outcome. I feel like it's a pretty important thing. You should care about more of how you played, how well you played, instead of you know, if you win or lose. But in this case, I really think that it's more important to sort of only communicate what it is important. So by that I mean you should only be talking about what to do in game instead of flaming and stuff like that. For example, one of the things that is really good to do in game is ping items, sort of, because you know the enemies have a Magnus farming for 10 minutes, he has a blink, right? You should be pinging the enemies blinks and stuff like that, sort of what changes the game dynamic, right? The blinks change the game's dynamic, in my opinion. Also, BKBs change the game's dynamic. Glimmer, Cape, sort of like that can affect the whole team, right? And how the game is played. If Earthshaker in the enemy team has a blink, you should be playing more careful, right? If Enigma in the enemy team has a blink, sort of like that, right? Or if there's a void, ping the Chronosphere. Careful, careful. I don't want to fight because, you know. And also, I feel it's really important to try to ping your items, right? Or what you're buying. I usually do it. You know, I'm 50 gold away from BKB, try not to fight, something like that, right? That's the message that should be conveyed, instead of, you know, my teammates go fight and then I like flame them or whatever, you know, because oh, they fought without me, without my BKB. You should just try to prevent something like that from happening by pinging the items and stuff like that. It is really important. Another thing is that you can do is like this, right? Ping with a shift, I believe, or control, whatever the button is. If you're going somewhere, you know, retreat from somewhere, attack somewhere, you know, this is worded, the word here, sort of like that. I feel it's really important to do that, because you can just give your supports information that, or you know, course, whoever buys enters the word very easily instead of just trying to type, right? So I think you should set up this sort of system, whatever it's called, chat wheel, I believe. So you can easily communicate with your supports just by one button instead of just typing an entire sentence. I feel like one of the most important issues that people have with communication, or not that have, but they don't really understand what they're doing wrong with it, is that they sort of don't know how to communicate. I feel like it's a big issue, you know. Usually people just flame someone else because they don't buy the correct items, in their opinion, or something like that. Instead, they should be, before they make the mistake of buying, you know, let's say Battlefield or Next or whatever, something like that, you should be looking at them, have awareness of the map, and just try to ask them. What I think it's important to do is ask people for stuff. I mean, ask them, just ask them a question instead of telling them to do something. For example, yo, X, don't go Battlefield. Let's say that's what you want to say to your team. I mean, tell your team. But I think that what you should be doing is asking them a question, sort of, X, what do you think about going Blink? Or something like that, you know? It's not passive aggressive, it's just a question, you know? It's, you sort of plant the answer in their mind, right? Because you think that they should be buying a Blink. So it's like, but you also sort of give them the false illusion that they came to the conclusion that Blink is better, you know? Or something like that. Because if you just say X, go Blink instead of Battlefield, what they're doing, you suck, Battlefield doesn't do anything, something like that, they obviously won't do it. They're just stubborn. But if you ask, as I said before, X, what do you think about Blink? And maybe you give another reason. I think we should just be catching them this right now instead of just farming. He might agree with you and buy it, but also sort of mental trick that he will believe that he sort of came up to that answer and you didn't influence him in any way, so he doesn't really feel controlled by you, right? Because a lot of people seem to have issues by like getting, you know, controlled, sort of, because they're top players and don't really care about winning. They just care about having fun, or, you know, doing a cool build or something like that, you know. So I really feel that when communicating to someone, is really important to sort of know how to communicate, you know. I feel like there should be any amount of flaming, to be honest, in games, and just sort of it's just a puzzle, you know. Try to solve a puzzle in a manner that everyone can just, you know, understand. And yeah, I feel like everyone should sort of respect each other and not really tell each other what to do. The only issue with this is that you know, some people won't really do anything either way, you know, because they're like refusing to play the game with Cyber Shadow, Amulet and stuff like that, you know. It's like, okay, there's no point in talking to them, right? But in general, if 5 people are trying to win, I feel like this is the way to do it. You just ask them a question, sort of guide them, you know, towards the right answer instead of giving them a command. I feel like it's really important to try to understand this about pubs, that people don't really take orders that well. Most players have a high ego and don't really care that much, to be honest. But with this being said, I feel like this is all about communication, in my opinion. If I forgot something, make sure to mention it in the comments, or, you know. I have been IDQ, thank you for watching the video. If you have any suggestions for possible next videos, please let us know in the comments. Have a nice day.